I'm alive now. Today I'm joined with the son of the legendary Hall of Fame world champion boxer Tommy Morrison, unbeaten heavyweight contender Kenzie Morrison. How you doing, mate?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm staying alive.
Good, good, mate. It's not easy to do these days. So, Kenzie, tell us, obviously you're sort of like in the centre of the headlines at the minute because you recently knocked out Hasim Rahman Jr. and now he's got the big money fight with Jake Paul.
Yes, sir. Uh, it was kind of a big step up for me to fight Hasim, and I'm honored that he has the opportunity that apparently I can't have. But I wish him all the best.
Uh-huh. Do you know it was said that like you were sort of in the mix for like a potential Jake Paul fight? What would you think about something like that, mate?
I mean, I'm all for it. I understand the politics in boxing, and I know that it's risky for Jake Paul to take a fight with a fighter like Hasim's caliber, considering he's only 5-0 as a professional boxer, which hasn't fought a professional boxer yet. So I mean, there's a there's a lot of things on their side, and there's a lot of things on my side. Uh, I'm just a student of the sport, and I love boxing, and I've been around it my entire life, and I've voiced my opinion a few times, on social media where I've not really called him out or talked too much shit. That being said, but tried to just
You can
make
say
it
that, mate. You can
make it
swear.
clear
Don't
to
worry about
people.
that.
Yeah.
You know what's funny, right? Because I was a big fan of your dad's, mate, and if I'm correct, right, was your dad because he was obviously in the Rocky movie after he'd only had about 7 or 8 pro fights, and it wasn't until he started beating contenders that some pundits took him seriously. Is that right?
Oh yeah. I mean, most definitely. My dad had an accomplished amateur career, with like 300 plus fights, and
Uh-huh.
after after that, he had his first, excuse me, part of his professional career. Uh, the Rocky movie is what put him on the map. It made him a household name, and that's
Mhm.
where I still have people to this day come up to me and they're like, "Man, your dad's Tommy Gunn." I'm like, "No, it's Tommy Morrison," but that's without me knowing.
Yeah, you know what it is, mate. It's funny that because I just shared a video of one of your dad's fights on my story on Instagram, and somebody actually just messages that Tommy Gunn. Do you know what I mean? It's true, mate. Like people do get it mixed up. So I didn't know about your dad's storied amateur career. Tell us a little about some of his accomplishments, mate.
Oh well, I mean, he's a two-time world heavyweight champion. Obviously, everybody knows that. But I mean, before that, he was, he started out fighting when he was very, very young. Lying about his age in tough man contests, and he was beating full-grown men. And then his amateur career. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure. I think it's like 340 something amateur fights. You know, I, I mean, but he was fighting from a very, very young age. And lying, lying to be able to fight. So
I mean, I was watching him the other day, mate, and he really did just have it all. He had everything, and that left hook is one of the best left hooks, that you'll ever see. So what was it like for you starting out your fighting journey, mate? Obviously, there was big expectations on your shoulders. What age were you when you first laced the gloves on, mate?
oh man, it was a weird deal. I'm still not some mean mugging, badass talking guy. I look at boxing as a sport, but for me to start, I had two full ride scholarships to go play basketball right out of high school, and I didn't start fighting until I was like 22. Now I'm 32, but it it's been an experience for sure. I've had my ups and downs, my battles with just the discipline of the sport and what it demands of a person. It demands a lot, And whenever you're put on a stage where you have to perform to most expectations, it's just different.
It is, mate. I mean, I competed in the sport of boxing myself, and it's such a hard sport to stay disciplined to. There's so many challenges, mentally and physically. And like obviously, in a way, I do respect Jake Paul, even though he's getting an easy run of things. He seems to be really taking on the sport properly. Although I don't like to see, like people getting pushed up the line a little bit in front of the likes of yourself. Um, do you think Hasim Rahman will have what it takes to beat Jake Paul? Because personally, I'm expecting a knockout victory for Rahman Jr.
Well, I have mixed emotions about it based on the outcome. I'm 100% in Hasim's corner. We're managed by the same person, and that was after our last fight. But I know that Jake Paul's talented, and he's fast, and he's quick, and he's strong. The only question is he's not been tested yet. So this is his biggest test. I think that if Hasim uses his credentials and his experience, that he shouldn't have a problem. The problem is if Jake Paul beats him, all his credentials go out the window, right? So he better do his best to win this fight. But where I said that I have mixed emotions is, if Hasim loses, I should be the next guy. Because I just
That's it, mate. Right? And then, you're on the money train. You're in that, like, big fight then, aren't you? Like, you know what I mean? If that does happen. But I suppose at the same time, if Hasim wins, it could set up, like, a big rematch for yourself.
I mean, it could. It definitely could. And I wouldn't shy away from that, considering that, my stoppage against Hasim was kind of controversial. I'm really open to anything like that. First, I just got to see the outcome of this fight. And, to answer your question, and if you were asking me who I want to win, obviously it's Hasim, because I've been after Jake Paul for 2 years. And if Hasim can end this, charade, that's how it's got to end. And then I don't even have to worry about Jake Paul anymore. I got to worry about way bigger actual professional fighters,
Who would you like to fight next, mate? Because in the UK, there's quite a big, I know there's a lot of good fights for you, but you're sort of maybe won a couple, like 2 or 3 more contenders before maybe you take on a world title. Am I right in thinking that, or not?
No, I definitely agree. I've had 22 professional fights, but I had 0 amateur fights. So my entire professional career has been kind of like a learning base, where I'm learning on the job per se. So, I definitely think that I have room to build and I have potential to get better. And there's things that I still need to learn. As far as fighting some of the top contenders in the UK, it's got to be within the next 2 or 3 years because I'm not getting any younger.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've heard of him before, but have you heard of Vidal Riley?
Vidal Riley? No, I have.
Because he's like a big YouTuber. He trains at KSI. Have you heard of him? The one who fought Logan Paul.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Vidal Riley trains him, but he's got about 1 million or 2 million YouTube fans. And he actually has somebody saying Vidal is a bum, but in reality, he's an unbeaten UK prospect, and he's an unbeaten UK prospect, and he has a good amateur background. Do you know what I mean? So a fight like that would be quite interesting with yourself and him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm all down to that's why I'm in the sport. Obviously, is to fight. I also have to, I have to test myself accordingly. But I'm to the point now where, it's all guns a blazing. That's where we're at.
Can I just ask you a question, Kenzie? Because I remember reading somewhere like a rumor that John Wayne was your dad's uncle. Is that true that you're related to John Wayne, the actor?
Yes, sir.
Could you tell us like the lineage of that, mate?
Well, his his actual name, aside from John Wayne, was Marion Morrison, and it's ties through my grandma's side of the family. But I mean, hell, I'm 32 and it's 2022. John Wayne died how long ago? That was a long way down. I don't
Well, you
like
know
to
what
say
it
that.
is, as they say, legends never die. You know what I mean, mate?
No,
Legends never die.
no,
The
they don't.
memory lives on forever. So, tell us about your pro career, because I noticed like you've drawn with two unbeaten fighters. What was it like your first time in between the ropes, mate? Your first fight and everything.
Oh, I mean, every time's just an experience, and it's always a different experience. Um, the first draw that I had, I think it had to do with just being green, um, and fighting a guy that was an experienced MMA fighter, boxer. That sorry, I'm sitting in my garage, but he was an experienced fighter. I think he had like shit, I don't know, 30 MMA fights, and he had seven or six boxing matches. And it was a learning experience for me. It was only a 4-round fight, and a 4-round fight, it's hard to, if you lose a round in a 4-round fight, it normally always goes to a draw. So I had a bad round, went to a draw with him. Unfortunately, he dropped down in weight and went down to cruiser and started fighting in Bellator. And his name's Chris Harris, and I couldn't rematch him. I've tried a couple times. The second draw that I had was a guy named Aaron Shavers, which was a ex-professional football player that had shit, I don't know, maybe like 11 pro fights, had never been knocked out, just a tough, big, strong dude. And at the time that I fought him, I was training with my cousin, Aaron Kimball. And he's, my dad's nephew, obviously, or, nephew or cousin. And he did everything right besides, teach me what to do when a guy's kind of rope it open. Anyway, I got a draw with him, and then I got with the trainer that I'm with now, which has elevated me, through the roof. And then I beat the guy the second time, in the 4th round. So outside of that, it's hard to explain my boxing career because it's just been one big, long learning experience, and I won't be able to give you a good answer for that until I'm like 40 and I'm done,
But see, you know what's mad, right? I enjoyed watching some of your brothers' fights, Trey Lippy Morrison,
Yes, sir.
but you just look like exact spitting image of your dad, if that makes sense.
My mom hates it.
Does you? do you think that is going to help your career or hurt your career, mate?
Man, I don't know. I think that, whenever I started boxing, which was like shortly after my dad died, I don't think it helps me because I have to carve my own path. There's so many fighters out there that have, dads that were world champions and they ride on coattails and stuff. That was never me and Trey's objective. We were both athletes, and we got into a position where, that's the only legacy that he left us, So we got to make the best of it, and we got to do what we can. And thank God that he is who he was and did leave us that legacy. But damn it, I wish he was better at tennis.
Tell us about it, mate. There's easier ways of making there's much easier ways of making money than boxing. But what you call it, Kenzie? I noticed you weighed in at 224 pounds in your last fight, and I see is that like I messaged you saying that it would be interesting to see you go for the Bridgerweight title. Have you ever thought about that, or what weight would you like to compete in?
Well, naturally, I'm a heavyweight, and the bridger weight is kind of a new weight class in boxing. I just never really thought about it because the money's always been in the heavyweights. That's where my dad fought. That's where my uncle fought. That's where my brother fought. And that's where I would like to stay. But if it's beneficial, for me to drop down and fight in the bridger weight and maybe, claim that title. Hopefully Jake Paul will maybe meet me at bridger weight, that would probably be the only reason I would ever need to do that because, I've had the same goal since I started. And it's going to be the goal till I finish, unless it's beneficial,
Mm-hmm. GR's asking, were they his dad's shorts that Kenzie was wearing against Rackman Jr.?
Come again?
Someone in the comments is asking if you were wearing your dad's shorts against Rackman Jr.
No, sir. Those are brand new. Those are made for me. But the people that make my shorts, I'm actually sponsored by Title Boxing through equipment purposes, and they design all my stuff. And we sit down in a room, and my dad's look was hot, so we just kind of stick with it. I just have to put my name on them and not his.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, as they say.
Exactly.
So, have you sparred any big names before? Have you come across any Wilders or Andy Ruiz? Have you ever sparred any heavyweight contenders before, Kenzie?
Well, no, not yet. I live in the Midwest, so I'm in the central United States. And whenever you get to high level sparring, normally it's in Houston or Las Vegas, Southern California, or New York. And I've just not. I mean, we could get it if we wanted it, but at the moment, with where we're trying to go and what we're trying to do, that's short. It's going to come. I mean, it has to come. A lot of my sparring right now comes actually, through my brother, and Calvin Henderson, which is a super middleweight champion, just fought, and I mean we got a lot of good work, but there's tons of good fighters all over the United States that haven't had world class sparring that are just begging and chomping at the bit, for an opportunity.
I think sometimes too much heavy sparring can lead to a little bit too much wear and tear. One of my favorite fighters, Joe Calzaghe, never ever really used to spar heavy, according to his autobiography. So, what's your plan for your next few fights then, mate? Because you've just had that big win. You've just won the American title. Where would you like to? It was the American title on the line, wasn't it, against Rackman Jr.?
What title was it?
Against Rackman Jr., aye.
It was the US NBC WBC national title.
So is that like the WBC American title sort of thing?
Yeah, my belt's hanging in there on the wall. If I didn't have to go leave the garage, I'd go grab it and show
you. So, what would you like? What's your trajectory now, mate? Who would you like to fight next?
Well, that's actually what we're working on. As of right now, my next fight is scheduled for September 23rd in Kansas City, Missouri, at Memorial Hall. I'd fought there 3 times before, and we're in the works trying to work out a contract with the guys that manage me see fit.
So, what would you say? Has maybe I know you mentioned earlier that it's hard to stay dedicated to the sport, and you've had an unbeaten record so far. But what would you say perhaps your biggest setback, if you've had any, in the sport's been?
Money. It's hard to train 6 to 7 hours a day and not have to work a full-time job. And I just for instance today, I've put you off for 2 days because I've been working, and I just literally got home, come in my garage, and here I am
It's shit in it, mate. You know, because I don't know how it works in America, but in the United Kingdom, in England, right, you have to sell 100 tickets to be able to box as a pro. You have to be able to sell. You have to get 100 people to give, like, you know, about £50 for a ticket to come and watch your fight. Otherwise, you don't get fights, and you have to be able to do that every 2 or 3 months. Otherwise, you can't go anywhere as a pro to build your record up.
Well, it's hard to train at that level because no one's paying you to go to the gym unless you got sponsors, unless you got people backing you, people that believe in you, people that are waiting, for a return on the back end. And that's been most of my setbacks is just the fact that I'm expected to train as a professional athlete at a high level with, bare minimum. So I've always chose work because I'm not going to go without. I mean, I have a family. I have a 9-year-old son. I've got a wife, and I got to take care of them, and I might not fight every month. So, I guess if I fought every month, I would be okay, but it just doesn't work that way. And I would say that to answer your question, my biggest setback as far as why I'm not where I'm supposed to be right now is just financial.
Because it's so hard to get the training done. But one thing that like, if you don't have the time and the money to do it. But one thing, Kenzie, that I wanted to ask you was, like, obviously, your dad was in Rocky V, right?
Yes, sir.
And the Creed films are coming out now. Just with your look and everything, mate. Have you ever thought, like half expected any movie offers to come your way, mate?
All I can tell you is my fingers have been crossed for a long time. But the powers that be will have to make that decision. I don't know.
Cause, like, it's just mental, mate. Like I haven't watched any of them Creed films, but I'm a massive fan of, like, the whole Rocky series, all the way from 1 to 6, and I just think, like, they could fit, like, they put, like, Ivan Drago's son in. They could just fit you in so great, like, as, like, Tommy Gunn's son wanting revenge on Rocky and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
We just got to hope this video gets enough shout outs that maybe we can make that happen.
So, someone's put Creed 3, and I'm sure they are bringing out a Creed 3. Have you watched any of the Creed films, Kenzie?
I've watched all of them.
Have you? See, because I've watched all the Rocky ones. I haven't watched any of the Creed ones yet. What did you think of them, mate?
Yeah, I mean, they're good. The problem is it's just a completely different spin, sort of than where Rocky left off.
Well, I've just got one message from Michael B. Jordan. Stop ducking Tommy Gunn Jr. because he's gunning for you. So, is there any message you'd like to give your fans? Any potential, like, opponents, sponsors, all the rest of it?
And I just kind of want everybody to know that I'm doing my best, and I appreciate all the support, and I'm just grateful to be even on this interview. I love everybody.
And could I just ask, mate, another thing? Have you got, like, any good stories about your dad that, like people might not know, like the fans might not know what he was like, and so after some of his fights and stuff?
Well, I don't know. A lot of people kind of got the glitz and glamour, especially fans and the people that met him in person. But what a lot of people don't realize is he was a really funny guy, and he had, like, almost an endless list of one-liners. He just cared about people. He had a big heart, and he'd take care of anybody. As far as stories, man, I got a bunch of those, but we can't do that live.
Really, is it like those sort of stories? No worries, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, like, there's not enough people like that in the world right now, Kenzie, mate. There really isn't. Like nice, genuine people, especially in the sport of boxing, mate. And you certainly seem like one of those kids. I mean, you're just a good bloke, providing for your family, and trying to make a way. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's maybe why I don't have so much flash and pop. It's because I don't talk a whole lot of shit, and I try not to. I'm not very good at selling myself, if that makes any sense. I like to fight, and I just kind of let that show, and I think that's just one of my other downfalls and setbacks is that I just don't have a whole lot of flash. I'm kind of boring. I do what I'm supposed to do and train and work when I have to and fight when I have to, and that's just it. I mean, that's why it's hard for me to do these interviews like this. It's because I just don't. I bet sometimes you talk to people and they're just like blah 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 blah, and they can't shut up. It's like I'm having a problem finding the words to say.
Well, it's true. I think like people are interested in you because you're like a top fighter and you're sort of Tommy Morrison's son, and people want to know more, mate. I personally do think in time that being Tommy Morrison's son, I think that sometimes with boxing, some stories are just sort of like they're almost written in the stars. You know what I mean? And I think once you sort of get your name out, I think that everyone's going to want to see you, mate, because they're going to want to see if you're as good as your dad, and then it's all on your toes to prove how good you are. You know what I mean? When you get that opportunity.
That's my whole mission. I'm not trying to prove anyone right or anyone wrong. I'm just trying to do right by me, and do right by my father and do right by the legacy that I plan on leaving for my son, and then if people don't like it, then fuck them. I want to do what I got to do. And, I just hope everybody enjoys it because we're prize fighters. We do this to entertain people and also get paid. And it's not the easiest job in the world. So, they either like us or they don't. And I prefer to be a humble, nice, sportsman about boxing. I don't need to be something I'm not to try to, I'm going to get what I get. I'm going to get my fair shake.
It's the same with YouTube, mate. I mean, if I get involved in an argument with someone, it gets thousands and thousands of views. Do you know what I mean? But like, I like to just keep it straightforward and just like a gentleman, like sort of like what you keep it like, mates. But can I just ask you as well, Kenzie? You've done a very good job of understanding my accent because I didn't think Americans would understand my accent so well.
Man, you're good. How do you like my southern ass draw?
Have you ever heard of Newcastle before, mate?
Newcastle?
Newcastle in England.
No, sir, I haven't. I've heard of White Castle, where you get the miniature burgers.
Oh no, it's Newcastle. That's where I'm from. Can you do us a favour, mate? Can you just say "Why I man"?
Why I man?
And then how are the lads?
Come again?
Say how are the lads?
How are the lads? How'd that sound?
Mate, you know what I mean? Cheers, Kenzie. I appreciate that, mate. Like, I'm sure people from like my area will find that funny. But no, mate, Kenzie.
I'm sorry if I didn't say it right.
No, you said it. You said it all right, mate. You said it all right. But do you ever watch like football, like our football?
Well, your football, my football is different.
Well, you've got to be a lot tougher to play American football than English football. But have you ever watched English football?
You're talking about soccer, correct?
Yeah, that's what I'm on about, mate.
Yeah. Man, I love soccer. I actually played it in high school. I wasn't no good at it. I was kind of a ball hog.
Did you have any favorite teams, or were you just more of like a player than like watching it?
I just enjoyed kind of watching it. Yeah. I don't have a favorite team that I can think of.
Yeah.
But what's your favorite team?
I support Newcastle United, but I like Manchester United too, as well.
Well, Newcastle United is my favorite team now.
Manchester United.
No, Newcastle United.
Newcastle United. See, we've got a new Newcastle United fan here.
Oh yeah,
Tune Army.
now I'm gonna have to order me a shirt off Amazon.
Mate, I'll try and get one sent over to you, mate. I'll try and get one sent over. But funny enough, here's a funny story for you about football. I'm sure you've heard of David Beckham before.
Oh yeah.
When I was little, when I was about 6 years old or something, about 8 years old or something, I wrote David Beckham a letter, and he wrote us a letter back with a signed photo. So I've still got that one.
Hell yeah.
Aye, but so have you ever played any other sports, Kenzie? Any like American sports?
Oh yeah. I mean, I was a standout high school basketball player. I had 2 full ride scholarships. I turned them down to go into the workforce, and I was a good football player too, but I just preferred basketball. I was I'm 6'3". In high school, I was about 175 pounds, and I could dunk the ball any way besides between my legs. So that was kind of my goal.
So why did you turn down your scholarship? Is it because did you have like your kid a bit younger, or did you not fancy college?
I was tired of school, and I knew that at the time it wouldn't have been good for me, and I would have been like every other one of my friends that were suffering from college debt. I don't have that.
See, I never went to university. Well, we call it university over here in England, but I was the same, mate. Once I left school, I was sick of it all. You know what I mean? I really, really was. But other than your old man, Kenzie, who were your favourite fighters growing up, and did you have any favourite like English fighters or anything?
Well, I'm a fan of Anthony Joshua myself, but like growing up, and I would have to say that my 2 favorite fighters were, Evander Holyfield, because he didn't get the credit. He was chasing Mike Tyson for years. And then Ray Boom Boom Mancini. Have you ever heard of him?
I have. Ray Boom Boom Mancini was really, really tough. Yeah, he was phenomenal.
He's my hands down favorite fighter of all time. Like,
really,
I still remember watching him fight Dooku Kim in a 15-round fight. And this was old school. Dooku Kim died after that.
Well, see, do you know how you're saying that? I know about that because the thing with Dooku Kim was one of the things what changed it from 15-round fights to 12-round fights, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, that and like Evander Holyfield fought one of the last 15-round fights as a heavyweight, and he lost like 18 pounds in that fight and got taken to the hospital because his kidneys were failing.
Fucking hell.
So much weight in that fight, and I can't remember the guy he fought, but it's on his record and it's on YouTube. And if you guys are interested,
it might have been Dwight Mohammed Quay. I think he had a 15-rounder with him. But I remember reading in Boxing News that it said that 80% of fatal brain injuries were happening in the last 3 rounds of 15-round fights. So they were happening in rounds. Sorry?
Their water is depleted.
I just think that the human body isn't made to go on that. Well, I know you have some phenomenons like Muhammad Ali and others, but most 99% of humans aren't made to go on for 15 rounds. Do you know what I mean? And it's dangerous.
Especially, your brain is your body's computer, and if you bang that thing around too much, it's gonna stop working.
Mm-hmm.
It just will, and there's a layer of water, between your brain and your skull, and it's the membrane that protects it. Mm-hmm. And whenever you get smacked and you get knocked out, what happens is your brain pushes through that layer of water and hits your skull, and that's what causes you to get knocked out. So if you're not hydrated or you're fighting and you've cut 20 pounds, you're not going to come at 100% health, and it's dangerous, really. Mm-hmm. Boxing is super dangerous, and I think a lot of people blow that off because most of us fighters are so tough that it doesn't really show how dangerous it is.
Mm-hmm. I agree, mate. You know what I mean? And like I say, I boxed for a lot of years. I mean, I had 21 fights. But you know what it's like at heavyweight. Sometimes you don't get the fights and stuff. And I just decided in the end, like you say, the money wasn't there for why am I doing it? You know what I mean? But somebody's asked in the comments, do you agree with Fury's offer to fight Anthony Joshua?
Oh, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best should fight the best, at that level. That's kind of the problem is you get these guys that are superstars and they get to pick and choose, and then it's like they fight once a year, and they normally don't pick the person that everybody wants to buy pay-per-view to see. I definitely think that's one of the fights that should happen. It's got to happen before they get
I
too
think it
old.
would be a tragedy if it doesn't happen. I mean, I've seen it so many times over the years. Mayweather Pacquiao took too long to happen. Fury versus Joshua probably has took too long to happen, but hopefully it still does happen at some point. What are your thoughts about Tyson Fury, by the way? Because I know you said you're a Joshua fan.
Well, I mean, he's talented, and he's kind of set a standard, for everybody, fighters. That people have a stereotypical thought about how fighters should be huge and ripped and in this incredible shape. But whenever you get someone that's blessed with a talent and an understanding and a boxing IQ that can make it happen no matter what, and then have the toughness to get up whenever you slip, and you get caught. He's my brother was actually in the same camp with Tyson Fury one time and said he was an awesome guy. And I agree that, everything I've seen, I've never met him personally or talked to him. I'm a fan of him too. I'm a fan of anybody that's trying to make boxing better, and stands up for us, because we're all fighters. If we don't, who's going to stand up for us and take care of it? Boxing's like one of the only professional sports on the planet that doesn't have a retirement program. Once you stop performing, you're kind of just you're shit out of luck.
Mm-hmm. See, it's true. I think most young fighters just go into the sport with a dream. And there's a lot of fighters who get out at the right time. They can still speak very well, and they go into commentating. But some fighters go on a little bit too long, and they're sort of like damaged goods at the end.
Yeah, and a ton of them shouldn't have had to done that. There's a lot of problems about boxing that they cause fighters to do that. A lot of politics, and then people on anybody that's managing or promoting a fighter, it's not in their best interest to get their fighter beat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they protect them as long as they can, and normally it takes them a little bit too long, and then they fight the opponents whenever they're on their way out. And it all boils down to money, and it boils down to politics and boxing, and it's just shitty, but that's the way it is.
It does, mate. It really is, and so many people don't understand it as well from the outside. Casual fans don't understand it. And
sure.
What did you think about Tommy Fury and the Jake Paul situation? What did you follow any of that, mate?
Yeah, I heard he got denied entry into the United States via ties to mafia. I don't think Tommy Fury's scared of Jake Paul. He's bigger. He's same age. They're kind of in the same. That would have probably been a better fight, really. Just because they're both green and everybody be holding their breath and they didn't really know what was going to happen. Everybody's expecting Hassim to come out there and dominate this fight, be experienced. And if he doesn't, then Jake Paul is the wonder that everybody's been talking about. But I just can't wait till August 6th. I don't even fly in planes, and I'm probably going to fly to New York just to sit front row and talk shit at that fight.
See, it'll be awesome because I think if you fly out there and Jake Paul does win, I think it's on then. Do you know what I mean?
That's got to be. That's the only reason I'm going.
So are you getting free sort of tickets, or are you getting VIP ringside tickets and that?
I got 2 free ringside tickets, but I got to buy my own plane ticket.
Well, see, that's all right, mate. You know what I mean? How much will that cost you, to the Staples Center? Oh, it's New York, actually, isn't it? Wherever it
Madison
is.
Square Garden.
The Madison Square Gardens. How much will that cost you on your plane ride and everything, mate?
That's about $1,000 round trip there and back.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's quite a lot, that isn't it? Like for like considering you're only going from like America.
Well, I'm flying from X and A in Arkansas to New York and back round trip.
Wow! I didn't think it would have been $1,000, mate. That is steep, but
But I'm not.
what?
I'm flying. I'm flying direct. I'm not stopping in Chicago and then stopping in DC and then going to New York. I'm getting on one plane. I'm going
Yeah.
straight to New York and getting off. So it's a little bit more expensive that way.
Here's a question for you, right? That I just found a little bit interesting. Is obviously Hasim Rahman's Junior's had to boil down quite a lot in weight. He's going all the way down to 200 pounds. If you were offered the same fight with the same conditions as Hasim Rahman Jr., would you have went down to 200 pounds?
Yes, sir.
Is it just that it's too good to pass up on?
Yes. It's something that I would will myself to do it because of it. Man, I've been after that for a long time. After I watch him knock out Nate Robinson and look like a fool talking shit like he actually did something. I was sitting in a deer stand and made a YouTube video like 2 years ago. I would almost fight his ass for free. Just because.
Have you ever thought of making like a YouTube channel, mate?
What?
Have you ever thought of making your own YouTube channel?
Like I said, man, it was hard for me to even do this interview because I just don't have a whole lot to say. And luckily you ask good questions,
Cheers, bro. Well, like I says, I think we've pretty much covered all the questions for now. Maybe we'll do it again after the fight, and there'll be more to say then. I'm sure, won't there?
Definitely. And if you wanna fly to Kansas City on the 23rd, man, I'll get you a ticket.
Oh well, mate, you know what it is. It's a maybe. Like I need to get me passport and everything sorted out at the minute. But I tell you what, if you ever come to England, mate, I'll get you tickets to watch Newcastle United play.
Oh yeah, I'm still banking on that. I'm banking on that jersey.
How are the lads? Watch what you're doing, brother. See you later.
All right, Bubba. Talk to you later.